Imagine going to your yearly doctor's appointment and feeling perfectly healthy. You have no pain, no major symptoms, and no reason to think that anything may be wrong. Then your doctor reviews your blood work and says your test results show that you have prediabetes. Now, for millions of Americans, this is exactly how they discover they have a condition they never knew they had. And I include myself in that. When I began taking my personal nutrition class this summer, I started learning about blood sugar, insulin, and prediabetes. The more I learned, the more I realized how common this condition is and how many people are living with it without even knowing it. Now that has motivated me to learn more using reliable information. And so I went to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the American Diabetes and Association, and the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. So today I'm going to explain what prediabetes is, why it is common and often goes unnoticed or undiagnosed, and how healthcare providers diagnose it before it progresses to type 2 diabetes. So the first point is, what is prediabetes? So in order to understand what prediabetes is, we first need to understand what glucose and insulin are. So glucose is a type of sugar that comes from the foods that we eat and serves as our body's main source of energy. Now, after we eat, glucose enters the bloodstream. Now, insulin is a hormone made by the pancreas, and you can think as insulin as the key that unlocks the body cells, allowing glucose to move from the bloodstream into the cells where it can be used for energy. So, according to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, prediabetes develops when the body's cells no longer respond to insulin as effectively as they should. This is called insulin resistance. And because the cells are resistant, glucose begins to build up in the bloodstream instead of entering into the cells. So prediabetes means that blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not yet high enough to have a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. So now that we understand what prediabetes is and how it develops, let's look at why so many people have it without even realizing it. So why is it so common and often missed? One reason that prediabetes is often missed is that it usually causes no noticeable symptoms. Many people feel completely healthy. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there are roughly 115.2 million people or adults in the United States that have prediabetes. And 8 out of 10 of them, they don't even know it. So what are some common factors, risk factors? Being over the age of 35, having a family history of type 2 diabetes, being physically inactive, being overweight, having high blood pressure, and having had gestational diabetes during pregnancy. So because there are often no symptoms, many people first learn they have prediabetes during a routine physical exam and blood test. So now that we've discussed why prediabetes is so common and often goes unnoticed, let's look at how healthcare providers diagnose it. So how do healthcare providers, or how is prediabetes diagnosed? Healthcare providers use several simple tests. The first test is they test your A1C level, and that is a blood test measuring a person's average blood sugar level for the previous 2 to 3 months. The second way is fasting blood glucose test, which measures your blood sugar after not eating at least for 8 hours. And the third way is by taking the oral glucose tolerance test, which measures how well the body processes sugar after drinking a glucose solution, which is typically given to pregnant women. Now, according to the American Diabetes Association, A1C between 5.7% and 6.4% is considered prediabetes, while 6.5% or higher is considered diabetes. So these tests allow healthcare providers to identify diabetes before it develops into type 2 diabetes. So today we learned what prediabetes is and that prediabetes is a condition that often develops without noticeable symptoms, making it easy to be overlooked. And we also learned how healthcare providers diagnose it by using simple medical tests. So I hope that the next time you hear the word prediabetes, you'll have a better understanding of what it means and why it is important to recognize it early. Thank you so much for watching the video.